Welcome to
Right.
Tyler's Talking Sports, episode 34, NFL Blockbuster. If it's your first time tuning into us, we sure do appreciate y'all stopping by. What we do here is we talk about sports, and today's big topic, NFL Blockbuster. Tyler Hess on the other side of the mic, myself, Tyler Castle. Again, guys, welcome to Tyler's Talking Sports, NFL Blockbuster. Today is 3/11/2024. We had some big trades today, Hess.
Absolutely, man. NFL was wild today.
It was very wild. We're going to cover mainly the three big trades, and y'all leave us your thoughts. What do you think about these trades? I'm going to start off here with the first one. Hess, are you ready?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, are you ready? You don't seem
I'm ready.
thrilled, man. You ready?
I'm about 38.9% ready.
38.9. Russell Wilson to Pittsburgh, Steeler Nation,
Russ.
baby. 1.2 million,
Sir.
1 year. Broncos pick up the rest of the tab. How much was that? 38 and some change.
$38.8 million.
$38.8 million. Really do.
It's a $40 million deal, and we're paying all of it.
I really do appreciate y'all paying that for the Steelers. That's very nice and generous of the Broncos Nation to do that. Shout out Sean Payton, really smart. Y'all lost $85 million total, though, right?
Yes, because next year we have his deferred money goes into next year as well, and it's $45 million next year. So if y'all sign him back, we'll pay that contract as well.
Ooh, that's tough. That is tough. And what if he has a breakout year? Immediate thoughts on this, Hess? What is your immediate thoughts?
Immediate thoughts on it. I mean, I'm happy for Russ. I'm a fan of Russell Wilson. I do see the reason for the move that Denver made to get rid of him. I mean, he had a terrible 2022. 2022 was an absolute terrible year, whether that was coaching, whether that was Russ adjusting to Denver or what it was. That was terrible. But this season, he improved. He was like the sixth, seventh best quarterback in the league overall with all stats. But my big red flag with this is this reminds me a lot of Carson Wentz. He had that big year when he left the Eagles and went to the Colts. And then he went to Washington because the Colts moved on. I was like, oh, we're done. We don't want Wentz. Their stats were pretty similar. And then he went to Washington and didn't do anything. So I can kind of see. I mean, I think this is Russ's last hoorah. But I do personally think this is a good fit for Russ. I think him and Mike Tomlin will work well together. I think he'll work well with Steelers Nation. As far as the team, I think Denver had a better offense last year than what he's getting with Pittsburgh right now. A little younger in Pittsburgh. George Pickens is younger. Running backs are a little younger. Denver probably had a slightly better offensive line, but there's still time to fix that in Pittsburgh. Defensively, you're probably about even when both teams are playing at their peak, other than the fact you all had TJ Watt. I think it's going to be a good thing for Russ. I think he'll win the starting job. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. But if he doesn't, you all are only out $1.2 million. So what does it really matter,
Yeah, that's true. They stole him. A couple key immediate thoughts for me, myself. He's year 13 for Russell Wilson. This will be year 13 coming. He's 35. So he's definitely a veteran guy. He's going to be improved in the locker room. He's going to be improvement in the locker room. He's going to have that veteran leadership. I think that alone is enough for $1.2 million just to have Russell Wilson there. If they keep Kenny Pickett, which I think, the rumor is now Pickett's out pretty much. Everybody's expecting that. Russell Wilson, of course, is a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He won with the Seahawks, did excellent in Denver, in my opinion. Like you said, he was sixth best quarterback. And just this year with the Steelers, I mean, they had struggles with Kenny Pickett, Trubisky, and Rudolph. They never could get that quarterback. So I think this is huge for the Steelers because now they have a guy that can lean on, and that was really a key piece to this missing offense last year. Never knew who was going to start. Every game, it was Pickett, Trubisky, who we going with, and you never knew what you got.
I mean, that's the thing here, too, with Russ, too. I mean, 2022, he was the 34th ranked quarterback in the NFL out of 32 teams. His QBR was terrible. His interception ratio was terrible. He really turned the corner this year. But granted, he was in a quarterback-friendly offense with Sean Payton. So I think any quarterback kind of thrives. And, I mean, look at Taysom Hill. He's a tight end that played quarterback there a little bit for the Saints, and he did. He looked decent.
I mean, Mike Tomlin can obviously coach quarterbacks,
and I think
I'm not worried about that.
Great locker room guy, great role model. He fits Pittsburgh. If it wasn't Pittsburgh, then it was the Falcons, in my opinion, because I just think that was the two teams that needed that were maybe a quarter. I think the Steelers were more so a quarterback away than the Falcons. The Falcons are a lot younger, but if Russell wins a starting job, I mean, you all are easy at 10-7, 9. I mean, you all are going to be. I don't see the Steelers being any better record-wise, but I see more experience rubbing off on those young players. And I think players like George Pickens, I don't think you see him have the outbursts that he had last year. And I think the team plays more Steelers team-oriented football with Russ there.
Of Deontay Johnson, too. That's another
Yes,
key
he'll be
wide
healthy.
receiver.
But
Very young, too.
There's talks, too, that they may trade him to try to get a Jerry Jeudy type deal that Broncos got with the Browns.
Right. I can see that happening.
Because y'all
like
got draft capital.
Yeah, I think Steelers are in a great place. I kind of disagree with that. I think the record would actually be better with Russell Wilson. And reason being, just off stats alone from last year, Kenny Pickett had 2,070 yards. Last year, Russell Wilson had 3,070 yards. 204 passing yards per game for Wilson, 172.5 for Pickett. He had a 66% completion pass rate compared to 62, 26 touchdowns to 6 over Pickett, and then a 98 QBR rating to 81. That's a big improvement. Granted, Pickett didn't play every game, but still,
right.
that just and Trubisky was worse than Pickett.
Pickett
and Rudolph had like the best stretch out of all of them, honestly.
Pickett missed 6 games?
Something like that, yeah. He started out the first 6. Yeah.
If you add the 6 games in there based off his average, you'd be sitting right about where Russ was with yards.
Yeah.
But the offense
I think that experience comes in, though. There's experience there with Wilson. Leadership is a lot, too. So I think that's huge. I think it's a great get for the Steelers. Like you said, $1.2 million.
As a Broncos fan, being there when we traded the farm to get Russell Wilson, I said the exact same things you were saying. And granted, I don't like how Russ was treated in Denver. I'm not sitting here saying that Denver did right. I kind of wish he was still in Denver, but being open-minded at it and not trying to be closed off, being all Denver, I get the move on Denver's behalf because Russ isn't what he was. But granted, we shouldn't have paid him what we paid him either. But I'm just saying, pump the brakes a little bit, be reserved, go into it like, hey, we got Russ, we got a chance, but don't get expectations too high because you can do that, and then he'll be the 34th best quarterback out of 32 teams.
Nah, my expectations aren't too high. I do think the record will be improved from last year. Now, what that means, I'm not saying they're Super Bowl caliber team, but we'll see. I think it'll be more improved. Impact. What's your impact on this team, Hez? What's the impact that Russell Wilson has to this team?
I mean, the immediate impact here is, you get a veteran in the quarterback room. You get a Walter Payton Award winner. You get an MVP on your team. Whether he wins a starting job or not, I think a lot of people are looking at Russ and Kenny Pickett here, but I think there's a third quarterback in that argument. I think Mason Rudolph, in my opinion, I think he's a better quarterback than Pickett. And he showed that a little bit last year. But that aside, I think Russ brings you the leadership that the Steelers need in the locker room outside of the coaching staff. And even if he doesn't win the job, I think Russ realizes it's time to step back and be a mentor to the league. And I think he's in a great place to do that.
Yeah, I think one question you have to ask this is how could you say he wouldn't be a positive impact overall just as a person, and teammate. So that's why I think that's where I'm okay with this. Obviously, they got him for nothing, and they're going to get great leadership and experience. And if Pickett does stay and learns from Russell Wilson, I think that's a great opportunity.
If Russ goes out and Aaron Rodgers himself on the first game of the year, then you don't have to worry about it. It's 1.1 million. If he goes out and he does what he did with us in 2022, you don't have to worry about it. You're not hurt. You're not like us who have $85 million invested.
We have the backup. Like I said, Pickett's going to stay. So if Wilson plays terrible, Mike Tomlin's not going to just let it fly.
Yeah, but I think the relationship will be better with Russ and Tomlin versus Russ.
Absolutely.
And I get Peyton's stance on it. Denver brought Peyton in there. I know we're going to move on from this, but Denver brought Peyton in there to be the guy, and Russ wasn't the quarterback he ever wanted. So I get that, but I think they could have been handled completely different.
Yeah, I like that take. What's this mean moving forward?
Moving forward, I think you look at the Steelers. They can. It's Mike Tomlin. They're a playoff team no matter who's the quarterback. I think you could be the quarterback for them. They could have signed you to that
thanks.
one
Appreciate
point.
That.
And I think, you're a playoff
I'll
team.
take it.
If Russ does what he done in Denver last year and you all continue and you all play the defense you did, you're looking at maybe a division champion because, outside of the Ravens and the Browns, you all had the best quarterback, in my opinion, when it comes down to experience in Russell Wilson. I know Lamar's got 2 MVPs, but there's not a quarterback there in the AFC that's won a Super Bowl other than Russell Wilson. So you got that experience, you got that head coach. Could be huge in Pittsburgh. I don't think
division.
even without Russ, you guys are a playoff team next year. You get Russ now. I think you add 2 more wins to your record based on what you had last year. My opinion. If
I like that.
you're either the same record or 2 wins improved.
Yeah, I like that take. Yeah, I don't see this team, degressing from last year. I think they'll definitely capitalize off this trade, and we'll see improved Steelers for 2024-2025 season. So, in my opinion, Steelers need to be taken serious. Mike Tomlin's no one to mess around with. The dude is no losing seasons in his entire career at Steelers. So, I think Steelers. I think that's great trade for the Steelers today. A+.
I mean, it was great. I mean, perfect fit for them. Perfect fit for them in signing wise. Cheap, risk free, big reward, low risk. I mean, you don't get many of those. So
Yeah,
we'll see
don't
what
happen
happens. But
often.
hey, let's talk about the big signing that happened today. And I think somebody overpaid here, my personal opinion.
Sure.
We got Kirk Cousins to Atlanta.
Yeah, to Atlanta. The deal was for $180 million. Includes a $50 million signing bonus and includes a total of $100 million guaranteed. So he'll get $100 million regardless if he goes up there first play, breaks his leg. $100 million. Immediate thoughts. I'll start us off on this one. I think it's a great move by the Falcons. They needed a quarterback. They were looking at Russell Wilson, like you just said. They last year kind of same situation as Steelers, just never could get it clicking on offense. Unfortunately, they had a little bit of a down year. They went 7-10 last year. But Cousins is very underrated in my opinion. But I'm kind of with you. He's $180 million. He's been in the league for a while now. It's a little overpriced for Cousins. I mean, he's done good. Don't get me wrong, but he's not won a Super Bowl. He's not been there, But anyway, at his time with the Vikings, he's been there for 6 seasons. He threw for 23,265 yards, 171 touchdowns in those 6 seasons, and he has 3 Pro Bowl appearances during that time. So I guess that's what they're looking at. Experienced guy, been in the league for a while, but again, I think that's a little overpaid in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is overpaid because, I mean, the Vikings didn't want to keep him, and the Vikings are paying him about $38 million per year. I think it says a lot that the Vikings decided to move on when honestly, in my opinion, the Vikings were a quarterback away last year, a healthy Kirk Cousins away from being
Yeah.
a deep playoff team with Justin Jefferson and that defense and everything they got on offense. So for them to sit here and say, you know what, let's go get our quarterback in the draft because obviously that's what they're doing. I think that speaks volumes for maybe because Kurt's coming off that ACL tear, or not ACL, Achilles tear, and that's huge. And he's not the Kirk Cousins that the Vikings got from Washington when they got him. And this Falcons team does not have Justin Jefferson. This Falcons team does not have the run game that the Vikings had. This Falcons team does not have the defense that this Vikings team's had over the last couple of years. But it's a city that loves football. It loves their sports. It's a city that embraces the football team when they're doing well. They got a great owner in Arthur Smith. He'll be, I mean, again, I go back to the veteran leadership adds to that locker room, just like Russell Wilson with Pittsburgh. I do think they overpaid. I think this should have been a shorter deal. I think the Falcons could look. I think they're expecting Matt Ryan out of this, and I don't think they get that. And I love Kirk Cousins, but I think you start seeing a downward trajectory in his stats because, I mean, you have Justin Jefferson out there, you just throw that thing up, And I mean, they had really good young receivers in Minnesota. But that the Falcons can open up Kyle Pitts, they can open up Drake
Robinson
London,
too.
Ben John Robinson at running back. I'd run the wheels off of him.
The offense should be clicking.
And then Drake London, another young wide receiver. I think it helps, but honestly, I don't think Falcons fans need to get excited. I think they're still a year or two away, even with Kirk Cousins. And I think they may improve 1 or 2 wins, but that still just puts them as the not even a playoff team. They don't win the division next year. So we'll see. Kurt's going to be – it'll be cool to see him in Atlanta. It'll be cool to see a good quarterback down there in Atlanta. I just don't think this was the perfect place for him.
Yeah, I like that take. The Falcons needed a quarterback. They needed a veteran quarterback. You had Russell Wilson. You got Kirk Cousins. So I think that's kind of what they were, looking at. And we talked about this before. Kirk Cousins has in-laws that live right outside of Atlanta. So that was probably helped persuade that decision as well. His wife's family's down there. So I'm sure that played a role in that. So you've kind of touched on it already a little bit, but what this means moving forward from my standpoint, I also agree that the Falcons still need some assistance. They're not there just yet. They have the offensive pieces. They just got to get it clicking. They have a brand new head coach, so we don't even know what that's going to look like with Raheem Morris. So we'll see what they do. They went 7-10 last year. I'll be surprised if they get 8 or 9 wins this year.
Before we move on from Kirk Cousins, we're talking about Minnesota, a team that's in that division. The Packers today, they cut Aaron Jones. It just got reported that the Packers wanted him to take a 50+% pay cut, if not more, up to 75% pay cut off his contract. That's why they ended up cutting him and releasing him. And it is breaking that the Vikings are eyeing to sign him to a 4-year deal. The Vikings trying to bring Aaron Jones into Minnesota. So Minnesota's up there in the draft. I think they draft 6th, 7th or 6th. And there's a quarterback like Jaden Daniels sitting there or something like that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens because I was thinking Jaden Daniels to Atlanta. I think Atlanta's at 5. I was thinking Jaden Daniels there. I think Jaden Daniels now falls to the Vikings unless they move up. Because now you look at the draft now, you've got the Bears because nobody knows really what they're doing. I think they got a good quarterback, but apparently nobody in the league does because they compare him to Sam Darnold. They said most teams compare Justin Fields to Sam Darnold and one more quarterback. They don't feel like he's that guy. So they're going quarterback. You got Washington going quarterback. You got the Patriots going quarterback. The Falcons are out at quarterback, and then you got Minnesota and then Denver lurking at quarterback. So it's going to be interesting now with the Falcons getting Cousins, who do the Vikings grab, who's left. But
yeah, that's very true.
But another signing, I did not see this coming.
I didn't
really. I knew he was going to leave the Giants, but I didn't see him going to the Eagles. I heard Cowboys, didn't see Eagles, but Saquon Barkley to the Eagles on a 3-year, $37.75 million deal. Puts Barkley 4th on the highest paid running backs in the league, McCaffrey, Kamara, and Jonathan Taylor. Castle, what's your immediate thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about this trade. I think Barkley's 27 or 28 now. So he's starting to get up there a little bit in age. Running back don't really have that long in the league, honestly, unless you're Derrick Henry. But Eagles won't be that much different on offense with him at running back. This was a team that was hot at the beginning of the season last year and fell off towards the end due to Hurts' play. I think Hurts really hurt them. No pun intended there. But, he started playing like poo-poo is what I got wrote down here, and that is the truth. He looked terrible the second half of the season. The offense wasn't clicking. The defense wasn't working right. They were just all over the place. Couldn't win a game if they tried. So they got to get all that figured out first, which they did make some coaching changes this offseason. Mm-hmm. At the end of the season, the coaches there were fired. So We'll see what happens. I don't think Barkley's – I'm not a big fan of this trade. I don't see spending this much money on a running back, honestly. But
honestly, I like it because most running backs now, they've been signing for 4 years around $50 million. They're saying Aaron Jones may get 4 years, $50-60 million. They're saying Derrick Henry's looking at 3 to 4 years for around $75 million.
That's insane.
Tony Pollard signed a 3-year deal for $55 with the Titans today. You got Barkley at 3 years, $37 million, $38 million. And I think, honestly, next year he's up there with McCaffrey as far as stats. I think this is now he gets a quarterback and he's in an offense that's actually going to be able to utilize him like they did his last couple of years. His last year he had with Eli because he was a stud then. And I think this will be huge for him being with this Eagles offense because the Eagles thought they had that in DeAndre Swift. They moved on. They cut him, or he only signed a 1-year deal. He signed today with the Bears, and this opened the door for Barkley. And I think if Jalen Hurts can get his head on and actually play quarterback outside the red zone and stop looking downfield at Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, you got Barkley sitting there. I think Barkley could have a breakout year. Granted, I know he's getting up there in age, but I really look at the running back age to where the decline starts is around 30. I know Barkley's had some injury issues as well as far as his knee and ankle. But last year, he was good. He single-handedly put the Vikings on his back as much as he could. I think he had around almost 2,000 all-purpose yards. Giants. As far as 2,000 all-purpose yards. He looked like the Barkley that we seen coming out of Penn State and the Giants drafted. I think if the Eagles are smart, they run this offense through Barkley, and that opens up A.J. Brown. That opens up their tight end. I can't think of his name right now. That opens up Devontae Smith, and I think it helps Jalen Hurts. So we'll see. I think the Cowboys are the biggest loser here because they got rid of Pollard today. They cut Pollard, and I think they expected to get Barkley, and the Eagles said not so fast.
Yeah. I just can't justify that 3-year, 37.5. That's just insane to me. And that's insane that running backs are still going for that in the league. But, running backs do more than just run the ball. They block, they receive. So they do a little bit of everything. So maybe that's what the Eagles are thinking. Like you said, it might open up the pass game a little bit. But I actually think the opposite. I think the Eagles are going to be down this year. Nobody's talking about the people they've lost. Nobody's talking about Jason Kelce that much. So I think that will play a role in this offense moving forward. And then two, we got some new coaches, like I said, on this team. So we'll see how that pans out too this year. But I think the Eagles will actually be down a little bit this year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I agree and disagree. I mean, I get they lost Jason Kelsey, they lost Fletcher Cox, but they're bringing in Jalen Carter. They're going to probably find a center out there. Centers are pretty easy to find. I mean, they ain't Jason Kelsey, but still, I think if the season's bad, it's not because of Barkley, it's because of Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. 100%.
But I think Barkley is a safe. I think getting Barkley helps take the pressure off Jalen Hurts, because if he starts playing bad, they can say, hey, we're feeding you either the passing game or the run game. I think it'd be huge for the Eagles in Philadelphia. I think they end up falling in love with the guy. I like Barkley. I've always been a fan of him. I think he's played the game the right way. And I mean, he's not Christian McCaffrey, but when he's on his game, there's only one running back in the league better than him, and that's Christian McCaffrey all the way around, because he can run the ball. He can give you 1,000 yards rushing. He can give you 1,000 yards receiving, just like McCaffrey when he's healthy. And if the Eagles are smart, they'll utilize him that way to probably help Jalen Hurts. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We shall see. Yes. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, Hess, for tonight's episode.
Yeah, man. Absolutely enjoyed this, guys. This is a new format we're going to be going with. We're doing some shorter episodes. One, so we can get content out to you guys, because we feel really bad that we've been slacking off. We've just been super busy. Cass has got a ton of stuff going on. I've got a ton of stuff going on. But we constantly talk about the podcast. We just try to find time to do it. So we're going to start doing much shorter episodes, anywhere from 15, we'll say 15, 30 minutes, because obviously this one's around 20. But anywhere from 15, 30-minute episodes, hit the big topics. They might be a night we just randomly talk about sports. We may just sit here and be like, man, what's going on in sports? Nothing in particular. Just something to get content out there to you guys. We're still eventually one day going to do some lives, stuff like that. We'll get back into that. But for now, this is what we're going to do. And this could opportunity give us a way to get multiple episodes out each week, more than maybe one or two. We'll see what happens. But before we do get off, I want to shout out Bristol Rhythm AFC for having us yesterday at JJ's for their brunch to interview some of their players. Be sure to check out our social media each day. We're going to release an interview. Today we released Elijah Jackson, 16-year-old from Virginia High. Did his interview first. We put it out there. Great organization. Matt Smith, president, incredibly just welcoming. It was great atmosphere, good organization. They're having their jersey reveal next month, I think is what we heard.
Yep.
We're going to try to be there. We may not do anything live, just maybe there to support them. But again, shout out to those guys. Appreciate everything they've done for us and allowing us to be part of it.
Yeah, shout out to Bristol Rhythm AFC, and shout out to JJ's too for an excellent hosting party.
Yes.
Food was excellent. Brunch was great. We had a great time. It was great meeting all the players. Matt, again, appreciate you having us out. We really, really enjoyed that, and looking forward to the next event too. Mm-hmm. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Again, just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. We're going to try to do these shorter episodes, like Hess said, get this content pushed out. Any content's better than no content. So we do appreciate y'all stopping by. Happy Tuesday to all. That's all I have, Hess.
Thanks, Next Level Fitness, Isaiah 117 House, and Abby Martin Photography.
Yep.
Appreciate you guys for everything you do to help us continue on, keep on keeping on. And also,
keeping on.
You got it on here. Happy birthday to Lakers star Anthony Davis. Oh, yeah. Anthony Davis, 31 years old, buddy. We wish you a happy birthday from Tyler's Talking Sports. We hope you listen.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday.
All right. You all have a great, great Tuesday. We'll be back one of these days.
We'll come back. We'll see y'all.
See y'all.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.